Hey, what's up everybody? It's Matt from Rocky's War Room, and today I have something special for you, something a little bit different, something I have not done in a long time, and that is put together a Sarissa Percision kit. This one here in particular is for the game Beyond the Gates of Antares, and it is by Warlord Games, and Sarissa Percision made it. It's called the Boromite Control Vent, and it's a very large model, and the instructions as usual are show you exactly the options that you can have with it, the things you can do with it and things like that, but we'll get into that in a minute. And as you can see, I've got it spread out. What I did is I got a 2 foot by 2 foot piece of EPVC, which is expanded polystyrene, real thin stuff, and the glue is real easy to wash off of it or to take off of it, scrape off of it, and it won't stick to my fat mat that I got down here. So kind of a bigger work surface than my normal painting desk because it's such a large model. This thing is huge. It's pretty awesome looking, and I'm going to show you exactly step by step what I did to build this model from start to finish, paint and all. We'll go through each step that I do and how I do it and how I put it together, and you decide exactly how you guys want to do it. So now the Boromite control vent, it's a lot of pieces, a lot of MDF and cardboard and things like that, just to make the nice looking shapes and etch shapes and stuff like that. We'll just step right into it. So what I did was I got this EBPVC, set it out, and I cut out, and I say cut out because I used a knife. I used a sharp blade, and you kind of need a blade because of when you got to be careful when you're punching them out. You'll get these little notches, and you got to score them off as best you can. You can use a knife, you can cut them out. You can use a piece of sandpaper, which I'd recommend. It's probably the best. And you want to cut them out because they have these little notches. I'll show you right here. There's a notch. If I can get the focus. Here we go. There it is. There's a notch right there. Now I cut from the top. You can cut that notch right out. So, and it's off. You can lose a little sandpaper, smooth surface. So I cut out all the first pieces, and I laid them out on the table exactly how it would be put together. Okay, and I assembled one for you, and there's a reason why I did that. I'll get into that, but the instructions are step by step. If you do follow them, they do a great job. You can do step by step how they lay it out and which pieces to put together. I would follow those steps for sure. Also, because all the MDFs are different, you can take a straight edge and go from one point to the other to make sure it fits properly, because they are all different. You can use a 90-degree angle piece, some sort of scrap to get the panels perpendicular to the bases, and things like that to make things easier. But here's what I did. I've got a couple of these kits, same one, as a matter of fact. They come in multiple places where you can be able to take them out and stuff like that. Well, this one here, this piece is supposed to be removable. Well, I glued it. It's going to be my only stationary one that's not going to be able to be taken out. Reason why I did this, I glued this in, is because that will be my starting point. That will be my nexus, or whatever you want to call it. So that'll be the only one that's not removable. So when I add these other pieces to this, these will be removable next to it. So there's only going to be one that's not removable, and this is my build-off point, where I can build off of it and I know it's straight. There we go. And it connects perfectly, and you can look down the line and you can see that when I put my next pieces on, I can get a close-up of that. When I put my next pieces on, it's fairly straight on both sides and on both ends. So follow the instructions. First thing I did, I'll set this to the side. Bring this piece, as I laid them all out, of course, I got all my pieces together, is to glue these pieces into place in these 4 sections. Then I took my struts and glue them into position right here. And they're going to be a little wobbly, so you're going to kind of have to work a little bit fast, because this piece right here is what connects into all these pieces on the edge right here. And then this last final piece that I glued on over there, it should fit perfectly in there without gluing, just to hold it together while the glue is drying. And then you should be able to take it out no problem. Now myself, these are in pieces. These are in pieces, like little puzzle pieces. I'm going to go ahead and glue the whole entire thing together. My recommendation is to keep them in pieces like this for easy storage, but if you're like me, you don't have to worry about that. And I'm going to glue them together, and I'm going to keep working off this way. You don't have to do that. You know, these are going to have to be done in sub-assemblies anyway, because of priming and things like that. So once I finish this piece, I will glue it to this piece here, and I'll be test fitting it and things like that. I'll glue it to this piece here, and I'll move on to the next section. Now, because this will be removable, this piece right here, I won't be able, or even though this is removable, I won't be able to get a spray can in there to prime it. So before I glue these together, I'm going to prime them as I go. Get the primer in there. Here we go. And I should be able to, from there, get my airbrush in there and manipulate it any way I want. These outside walls right here, I'm probably going to cover as I paint them with the airbrush. I'll probably put a cover over it while I spray the inside, because the inside is going to be different from the outside colors and things like that. But underneath here, I'll be able to get there inside there with a spray can from both directions and above, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get all these sub-assemblies finished, put together, primed, and possibly glue them together. That's something I still haven't decided whether I'm 100% definitely going to do or not. But until it's painted, I might paint it in sections, depending on how well everything fits together. But first things first, we're going to assemble all these sub pieces, and I'll be right back to show you what it looks like. According to the instructions, the next step is putting on the vents that go on the side over here. And they're made out of the cardboard. And just putting them on here without putting an undercoat or anything underneath here, you're just going to see wood when you look in there. I want to paint it black before I put those on. I have a spray black primer I'm going to use for this. It's a cheap black primer that I got from Wally World, Walmart, the hardware store. I've got some from the hardware store. I've gotten the same kind. Anyway, so that would be the next step. I'm going to skip ahead to the next step after that, which is going to be the railings. That way, when I do spray this, I'll be able to get the railings at the same time, and I'm not skipping that. I could paint the railings separate if they're going to be a separate color, which they're not. So I'm going to do it all at one time. So I'm going to spend the time now assembling the railings that go on the decks that are removable, or well, supposed to be removable, but I made that mistake. So we're going to move on to the railing. After the railings are good and dry for 24 hours and the whole thing's dry for 24 hours, after that we're going to prime the whole entire thing with black, and then we are going to put the cardboard vents on the outside, let that dry for 24 hours, and then we're going to go ahead and prime this as well. It won't take that much primer to add to it. And then we will get into building the shielding for the top part, which is a couple pieces that fit on the top of this as acts as shielding, which is the last step right here in the instructions. There's the shielding that goes on top, and it's pretty self-explanatory how it works. The instructions are really good. Okay, so I put the railings on. That also called for me to, oh, still drying. I should leave that one in. Oh, shoot. Take this one here. They're still kind of drying. The railing's on, and they ask you to put this cardboard ring in here. And what this is for is to hold that little blue piece that goes there. the clear plastic blue piece, but we're going to wait to put that in there until obviously we're done painting. So I left that out of there. And I did this all the way around. I got all the railing finished, including on the stationary piece that I accidentally glued down there. Now it is time for me to prime because I want this to be black right here. So I'm going to take this outside, I'm going to spray it with some black paint, and then we're going to, black primer I should say, and then we're going to put these on the outside, the vents on the outside, and continue from there. So I'll be right back. All right, so there it is with all the black primer. I wouldn't honestly recommend, unless you've done a lot of these kits, done a lot of terrain, or things like that. I would not recommend doing it this way if this is your first time building a kit, or if you're not really all that experienced with Sarissa Percision kits. I would paint it in pieces. As a matter of fact, before you glue it together on most circumstances. This is a science fiction piece. I've done these 1,000 times. I'm trying to get this to my table as quick as I can because we want to use it. The Boromite control vent here. For some scenarios and things like that. It's still going to get a really nice paint job, but if you're building it this way and doing it the way I'm doing it, honestly, you won't be able to get every little nook and cranny. That's why I painted it black. So wherever there isn't paint, and I will get a brush in there, I promise you, I will get a brush in there. Wherever you don't see paint, it'll be black. So, okay, so we got our railings on, we got our black primer on these guys. And so the next step we're going to do is we're going to put these on, the vents that are on the side, and then we're going to get started on the shielding. The shielding is the part that goes on top of this, and then we're going to build the ore canisters. So that'll be once we get that point, it'll be ready for paint. So let's get to it, and we're gonna cut out these vents just the same way we do with a knife. We're going to score the inside edges so they bend. Or where they weren't cut all the way through, so they'll bend nice and easy. We'll glue them into place. We'll wait till that glue is dry, and then we'll take it outside again and give it a nice primer coat. And it's still wet on the inside there in some places. So just be careful too, not to put on the primer too heavy. That's why I try to find a primer that has the lowest amount of acetone or no acetone at all, like Army Painter. Games Workshop obviously has the best one out there, but this is just a low acetone black primer that I get from Walmart. So I'll be right back. And now for the fun part. So I put my pale flesh is what I'm using as far as this color goes over the black there, using my airbrush. This is the color there. It's a Nocturna paint. It's a fantasy paint, just to do the base coat for the white. Then I will take my deep sea blue, which is my base color for my blue, and mask off the center because I painted white in the center there, and spray it all on the interior of the control vent, just all around, making sure I'm getting every nook and cranny. Then I will paint the platforms and railings and all that same base coat color, which is deep sea green, or deep sea blue, sorry. And then I'm taking my brighter blue, which is just Vallejo blue. All these colors are Vallejo, and I will highlight it. I won't go over the entire thing. I'll just hit the high points with it, all using my airbrush, of course, because it's a lot quicker and easier than using a brush. That was Oxford blue, and now it's my regular blue. I apologize. So this is my high highlight, which will be just on the upper ridges and in the center and around the edges of my platforms. So finally, I will take a metal color. I use gunmetal for this, and just to give it a little bit more color, and I will do kind of not a heavy dry brush, but not a light dry brush, but a dry brush on the platforms. Each one going all the way around, where obviously they walk around on that platform on the inside, and just give it a good dry brush. I think Sarissa Precision kits are perfect for dry brushing. It really brings out the details when you dry brush, because these kits have so much detail, a subtle detail, and they just pop when you dry brush them. So I'll finish off these platforms and give you a closer look at what it looks like. And here's the close-up there. And as you can see, I did not hit them with my highlight blue, and I just dry brushed them. And our final step for this kit is the shielding. It's important to note that I switched from the wood glue to a super glue for this part. It's faster setting, and I use a gel rather than a liquidy, super runny super glue. I use the Gorilla's gel because you can just put a spot in there and you won't get your fingers all sticky, and it won't run like the normal super glue kind of tends to do. And you can actually build the whole entire kit and glue the whole entire kit together using this super glue, which I've found the easiest way of doing it, or of gluing it all together, because it sets fast, and the paper is, glues and sets a lot faster as well, as you will see here. But we're going to continue with the shielding and move on to putting it on the piece, and we're going to weather it, and we'll be finished with the piece, and it'll be awesome. have it. That is the finished Boromite control vent. It was fun to paint, really awesome looking kit, especially when you put the models out there next to it. It's just the size that you can see of how big the model is. I'm really proud of this piece. I think it looks great. I think it's going to look awesome on our table and in our games, and it was not hard to put together or to paint. I'm really proud of it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Please tell a friend. Please spread the word. I'd really appreciate it. And last but not least, from me to you, ta-ta, and I will catch you in my next video.